viewers, and welcome to another episode of the vlogs. As you can see behind me, a lot of stuff going on for the Henley Royal Regatta. The tent's getting put up and everything like that. So basically right behind me, the boat tents go up there for those of you who have not been to the Henley Royal Regatta. And then right behind me here in Leander Club, a big tent goes up there for the Leander Club members and people invited here. And then behind the tents that are up there just now, you have the steward's enclosure where you have to wear a shirt and tie if you're a male and a blazer. And then if you're a female, a dress that has to be below the knees. But maybe we can talk more about that in another episode. Today, as you saw, we're in the fours preparing for the seat racing next week. And today is all about that bouncing back. Bouncing back from, so for me, it was this weekend, not having the real result that I really wanted to have, but you can really bounce, you can use the same sort of attitude, the same mentality to bounce back from anything, any sort of failure, any sort of upset, any sort of thing you think or that hasn't really went the way you want it to. So today, it's about getting back to where I was before trials, that attitude of, okay, here we go, let's do this. But obviously with a little bit of adjustment and seeing what I can do now better than I ever have before and moving on from that. But after a session in the pair, obviously we have to go fuel. It's not, we weren't in the pair. After a session in the four, we have to go fuel up because remember, food is fuel. And as well, I really want to say thank you to all the support on yesterday's video. So many suggestions, and I'm taking quite a few of them into consideration. I've got one thing, like I've mentioned, one thing that's coming up soon that I'm going to try and tell you guys about at some point. A lot of people spoke about Patreon, and I think I'm going to set that up. I struggled to do thinking of the rewards because I don't want to offer, say, 10 people sign up for something, and then I don't want to overstretch and say I can do this for 10 people because you can't narrow down those bands. I've looked at other people's Patreons where they put their Patreon up and basically have a tier where it's less than a cup of coffee a week and it's to support that person, that creator. So maybe something like that. Let me know in the comments below if you would sort of contribute to something like that, or you have any ideas of those awards on Patreon. And for those that don't know what a Patreon is, it's another kind of website for supporting creators, and from myself, a YouTube vlogger and rower. So it could work in quite well, but I don't want to put it up and sound and look a bit weird because it's just asking people for stuff, but at the same time, it could be an option. So thoughts going through the head, but like I said, now it's time to fuel up. And also, let me know what you think about the camera here and the sound. This is on the phone because I'm still waiting on the repair for the big camera. So let's get into the crew room and get some food.
It's pretty sad, so.
And we've made it into the crew room. I've got my mic here attached to the phone. Hopefully it's working. Let me know in the comments below if it is or isn't. But I've got bread and egg toast, and I have my muesli as well with some strawberries. Absolutely delicious. Plenty of carbs in here and a good amount of protein with all it is. So let's get fueling up because remember, food is fuel.
Food is fuel.
And we have finished up with breakfast, fueling up today. A little bit of bread and egg toast and a little bit of muesli. But like we said earlier, we're talking a bit about sort of like bouncing back after a not so good result or event. And one of the things I kind of look at is, okay, even though I didn't do well, you can look at your result versus other sort of people in the world or other results in general. And so you can look at it, so I came 13th, and then I can say, okay, how many people got the opportunity to even just compete at final trials? So that is a big thing. It was, competing at final trials was an awesome experience. Like I've said before, Robson and I learned quite a lot, and it's great to have that opportunity. And so there's a lot of people, and you can go other ways with it as well. A lot of people in the world don't have the opportunity that I have, just to, I'm able to row most of the day, every day. And that's absolutely amazing as well. So there's things like that that you can just find in your life that you have the opportunity to do. So I have amazing opportunities for myself to try and perform and try and push myself to the limit every day, and that is absolutely amazing. So I use that to motivate myself a little bit, and I think that is more of a simple thing to try and, or it's a easier thing to find, not so simple to get, because everyone I believe has their opportunities. So it's finding the opportunity that applies to you and not necessarily another group of people, and saying, okay, I'm in a great position to use those opportunities. But now it's time to go back on the water and get back in a different four as we keep on the prep for the seat racing. So let's get to it.
Ready, go.
Back into the crew room before lunch. We've got an interesting sort of, it's a vegetarian Wednesday.
Falafel.
It's not falafel.
It is.
A falafel in the shape of a fish cake.
I asked the chef.
Yeah, but it's in the shape of a fish cake.
Yeah. Falafel's just. You can't say it's not falafel when I asked the chef.
No, I didn't say it wasn't a falafel.
You did say it wasn't.
Nah.
You said.
But we've got falafel shaped fish cake.
Video evidence.
Shaped fish falafel cake for fueling up today, because remember, food is fuel, and as always, we have to fuel up after the session. We had some footage in the four with Ricardo and Barney and the lads and other fours. So we've got running 3 fours just now for preparing for seat racing. It's all about that. And then after lunch, we've got another session, and we'll get talking a little bit about that motivation post not going well. So let's get to it. And we have made it outside of the club for another day. The rain is staying off for now, and hopefully the wind noise isn't too bad here, and you can still hear me. As I said before, I'm still using the phone and some wind, and so the microphone is a bit hit and miss. But spoke earlier about using sort of failures to motivate yourself, and I talked about just remembering sort of the amazing opportunities that we're given, no matter what they are for you, no matter how big or how small they are for you, they are for you, and it's amazing to have them. So another way you can motivate yourself after failure is, which a lot of people have sort of spoke about when I sort of posted that we didn't do so well for trials, is using that failure as fuel for the next event or the next trip, the next thing you are doing. So for me, not doing so well at trials, not getting the result that Robson or I wanted or were aiming for, you can use that and sort of put it inside and say, one, why did that happen? As it gets windier, hopefully you can still hear. Why did that happen? And use that to sort of change what you're doing. And two, use that as say, okay, this is how I felt after the failure. This is how I felt after not succeeding. I don't want to feel like that again. And of course, failures will come again. You might not be able to hit that peak another time when you want to, but using that fuel, using that one failure towards the next thing can be really impactful on just your motivation and how you push yourself to the next, whether it is an event or whatever you're pushing on to the next part of your life. Because like I said, you could push yourself onto another bit of failure, but because like I said, you could use that failure to push yourself and propel yourself forward to another event, and you might not necessarily succeed at that, but it's always going to be a learning process. And a lot of people have been sending support messages and all that, which has been absolutely awesome, and saying how many times they've failed, how many times successful people have failed, and so it's really, all of you guys have been really motivating too. So that's one thing too, the YAM squad itself, and that's what it was trying to create to begin with, a positive community. And obviously there's still some things going on around to make the community a bit more a community rather than sort of just on the YouTube comments and whatnot. But it's been absolutely amazing from you guys, just whether it's suggestions on what I can do to supplement or help with the funding situation, or if it's just sort of comments where you've said I've really helped motivate you getting on the erg. All of those comments are, I read the majority, well, I read all of the YouTube comments, and some of them on Instagram. I get quite a lot on Instagram, and some of them disappear, but they're all absolutely amazing to read. Just there's a couple that's just to get, say, I mean, a couple. I'm 65 and I've just PB'd on my 2K because I hopped in the erg when I saw one of your vlogs, and it's stuff like that that, like I spoke about earlier, it's the opportunities that I have that are absolutely amazing to help the Yam Squad, to help people that I may not necessarily have ever seen or ever met before and would love to meet one day. But that is sort of how I motivate myself after a failure. So I spoke a little bit about that on Saturday after the not so hot time trial and semi, or not so hot time trial, but it's all about motivation and sort of picking yourself up after you maybe fall down or have a little bit of a stumble. Like I spoke about earlier, we're still trying to work on different things. I've got a little project that I'm going to probably speak about tomorrow with you guys, but I'm posting it on my Instagram maybe tonight. It's to do with sort of rowing clothing that's sort of away from the Yam Squad merch, because I feel like the Yam Squad merch itself is very cornered, and so to broaden that up a little bit, I've made this new thing. So that's a bit of a hint to what's happening, but probably talk about that tomorrow. And then a lot of people spoke about Patreon as well. I'm going to have another look into that and see, talk to a lot of the people that have asked to just have a chat about how much I would actually charge people for the tiers. I was thinking of maybe doing like a merch package tier where the people that support this certain tier on Patreon, you get some sort of merch that I make personally. So whether that's a t-shirt that has my name on it, or a design that I've messing around and I've drawn something and I think it looks cool on a t-shirt, something like that. But that's sort of down the road. And there's other tiers as well. Maybe one that's just literally for people that want to support, whether it's like a cup of coffee kind of price or whatever. But that's all down the road. And as always, Yam Squad, remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that like button and have a good one.